Hi everybody, Elizabeth Sharavati, natural fertility, pregnancy and children's health expert here. And in my last video, I showed you why the SAD diet, the standard American diet, is indeed so sad. And it's because it contains too many carbs, too much sugar. That includes sugar and starch. And that leads to high levels of the hormone insulin, which tends to be high in women with PCOS, and it tends to impact negatively our overall health and fertility when it is too high. And it is perpetually too high when the sugar is coming in too frequently or in too high of an amount each time. Another aspect of fertility, hormone balance, and overall health and the risk for chronic disease is something that is also brought on through the SAD diet. And it looks something like this. If you can imagine at the cellular level, you can imagine. Hopefully with my drawing skills that looks like a bonfire, because what is happening as a result of too much carbohydrate and too much insulin is the dangerous process known as inflammation. Inflammation isn't just when you have a skin problem like eczema, psoriasis. It's not just when you have joint pain. It's not just when you have a bug bite. It can be happening at the cellular level, and that's where it is most dangerous to your goals of completing your family. And this is something that most fertility doctors just aren't talking to you about, so I want to make sure that you're aware of it, because again, you can empower your fertility journey and you can transform your results by taking hold of the aspects that are contributing to the potentially subtle but chronic and very real underlying factors going on that are influencing your fertility in a negative way. And like I always say to clients, your health is what is permitting your fertility to be optimal. Fertility is within a certain age span the normal way. It's how we all got here. And when we remove obstacles to health, you're also removing obstacles to fertility. And when you provide resources to be well, you are also providing resources for your fertility to come back online. So that's why I want to talk to you about inflammation. Inflammation is the root of all chronic illness, and it is linked with many conditions to do with infertility, from endometriosis and fibroids to poor uterine lining receptivity to sperm problems and autoimmune issues that are rarely being addressed when you're facing chronic problems with infertility or getting pregnant or staying pregnant. So inflammation is also to do with recurring pregnancy loss. And the main ways that inflammation is impacting your fertility are, one, that especially when it's coming from the standard American diet, then you are more at risk of being overweight or having excess fat tissue, which is called obesity. And this almost perpetuates the inflammation because the extra fat cells are now making their own hormones. It's kind of like renegade estrogens that your brain and your ovaries or your brain and your adrenal glands did not decide to make. And the fat cells are also perpetuating the release of certain substances that keep obesity and inflammation going. The next piece is the impact on receptivity to pregnancy. And in your womb, which in Chinese medicine we call the baby palace, with a very loving term for it, because that's where the pregnancy happens, of course. That's where the baby grows and is nourished and is kept safe, and and we want to make sure the lining is very healthy, very nurturing. And when there's an inflammation process going on, then it can be very disruptive to the ability of that uterus to give your baby a lot of love. And so this is part and parcel with the idea of immune infertility or autoimmune infertility, if it has to do with the lining, or if you've ever been told that you have lining receptivity issues. It's often to do with inflammation. And it's hard to address from a medical side often because one, there is no really great specific test for inflammation, especially if we're thinking that it's to do with the uterine lining. And the other is that from the medical side, it's if inflammation or an autoimmune condition is suspected, then very strong drugs like prednisone are used, and not everyone is up for that. So I always counsel clients to have a look at the diet in a big way and see where you can intervene and reduce sources of inflammation that way. And the third and equally important aspect of inflammation that affects fertility is on your sperm and eggs. Sperm and egg quality. It's a huge issue, as you know, in fertility care, and it not only impacts the way that the sperm and egg are going to be in terms of their health, but also the DNA inside the eggs and sperm, and that informs the blueprint for your baby's future health. So it impacts on the ability of sperm and egg to fertilize, the ability to create a healthy, thriving embryo, and of course, the overall child's well-being in their life. The blueprint is created right at conception when sperm and egg fuse. Inflammation damages the membranes around these cells, and actually can damage the DNA inside. So going back to the standard American diet and how you can simply, with your very next meal, reduce the amount of sugar and carbohydrates in your food, replacing them with proteins, vegetables, healthy fats, and also make sure that you're exercising regularly in a way that's fun and enjoyable for you, hopefully, at least at some point will become so. This is the number one way to interrupt or put out the flames of inflammation that are harming your fertility. And for more about how inflammation affects your fertility, or how to reduce sugars, or what foods to eat, feel free to post your comments and questions below, and I'll respond to all of your questions. And I hope this helps you understand the background of why sometimes you're being asked to do certain things for your fertility that might feel hard at first, especially when we're talking about diet and lifestyle changes. So I hope this is empowering for you and leaves you with just a pretty simple approach to getting a good handle on this. Good luck with it, and let me know how it goes.